Welcome to an update right now of a wonderful event that will be taking place in a few weeks. With me today is two folks from the Town Band Host Committee. This is an update on the visit from the Royal British Legion Brass Band, who will be visiting us here in August. But I want to introduce first, I know I might be confusing you, I want to introduce Juell Buckwald, who's been doing mucho research, and we'll tell you on what, and Beverly Nightingale, who has also been doing some research on a most exciting, interesting topic that we explained to you some weeks ago, but we're going to give you an update now. This is a long introduction, but Juell, tell us what you have been really concentrating on recently.
Thank you, Betty, for inviting us back again to share our experiences. As you know, the Harwich Town Band is the host committee for a band that is coming from the United Kingdom, and part of the band is from Harwich, Essex, United Kingdom. One of the ladies that will accompany her husband, who is a musician with the band, Georgina Cooper, has been very interested in meeting with groups or descendants of people that sponsored her family, in particular her brother, William George Leggett, in the late 1940s. Namely was the Women's Club of Harwich, the Pilgrim Service League, Dorcas Society of Pilgrim Church, East Harwich Methodist Church, Bundles for Britain, and various Girl Scout troops, who all sent goodies, provisions to a war-ravished country, and in particular two families that we know of, the Leggett family and the Bruce family. It is Georgina's wish, while she is accompanying her husband and touring our town a little bit, to meet, if possible, with any of the descendants, or perhaps to see the place or places where some of the many kindnesses originated. The last correspondence that Georgina received from anyone in these groups, was in 1960, when she received silver spoons for her wedding. And since that day, she has not heard from anyone. But she is desirous of meeting or seeing what went on. And that was just a little thing that I zeroed in on. I liked to do research, and as you all know, that I'm very much interested with our sister town, Harwich, even though I don't pronounce it correctly. But in any event, I have a long-standing relationship with them. So much research with Larry Cole and myself, and I'll introduce Beverly in just a minute, has turned up several descendants or heirs of the original people, Mrs. Grace Snow, Briggs family, several descendants. We also have found people that were active in the various organizations. So we have decided that we would have a special tea for Georgina while she is here. And it is by invitation only, and we have some fancy little invitations that we will be sending out, and it will include heirs or descendants of the people that were so generous, and some people that are now connected with the various organizations. And we know that it will be a very warm and meaningful, not ending, but a relationship, a warm invitation to our town of Harwich. And we look forward to, yeah, I'm going to introduce, I've talked much too long, but anyway, Beverly can update you, because Beverly has been very, very active, and her mom before her, with the Pilgrim Congregational Church, with the Pilgrim Service League, and the Dorcas Society, and I believe she is historian of that church. And her research has come up with lots of interesting information in the journals, so she's been very, very helpful. She knows some of the heirs or descendants of the people that will be invited. So maybe Beverly would like to give you a little update. And I'm sorry I'm hogging the microphone. Thank you.
Thank you, Juell. Thank you, Betty. In January of 1953, a severe tidal wave went through the English Channel, and it flooded the Harwich town of Harwich, and 3,500 people were left homeless, and many died. The Dorcas Society of Pilgrim Congregational Church, and Dorcas means, from the Bible, a woman who helped indigent people. And they adopted or sponsored Janet and Richard Bruce. They were 3 and 4 years old, brother and sister, whose mother was killed in the flood at that terrible tidal wave. And they provided funds for them and gifts all through the 50s. And in my ledger, as I went back through all records and digging through all these, unfortunately, they didn't save any notes that came, but they did put down right in their book of how much they gave and when they did it. And so I've been going through and recognizing all the names. But in 1953, one of the notes I found was that the Bruce children were placed in a Methodist children's home where they were well taken care of. That was what they wrote in the, hopefully that's what happened. So they really concentrated more on the Janet and Richard Bruce, sending parcels. The Pilgrim Service League sent parcels, and the Dorcas Society sent money and gifts through almost, I think, into the 60s. In 1953, I believe, it was late in 1953, Mrs. Ralph H. Snow, Grace Snow, went with her niece, Caroline Hood, to the coronation of the Queen. And she met with the Bruce family and the Leggett family, so she met with these children. And that was very interesting.
Does, if I'm pronouncing her name correctly, Georgina come into play here?
Well, I believe Georgina and her brother, William Leggett, came into play through the Dorcas Society, but also through the Harwich Women's Club. And they were very instrumental in, again, sending funds, gifts, and visiting in that area. So that's how she came into play here. But hers was not, I mean, their relationship was, well, yes, I'm sure as part of the flood, but also war-ravaged England at that particular time. That's how they were sponsored.
Her husband, who is a musician in the Royal...
Yes, her husband is a musician.
The Royal British Legion Brass Band, correct?
That's correct, right.
Pick it up from there and connect with the T. Why, what was her desire? And
well, her desire was when she came that she might meet descendants or see the place or places where some of the many kindnesses originated. And if there were any descendants or people involved with the group, that she might express her thanks and appreciation.
Now, during World War II, I think you told me that the Women's Club or one of the societies sent her brother gift packages or goodwill packages during World War II.
That's correct. Around 1945, between 1945 through 1950, her brother, William George Leggett, was actually the sponsored child. And, of course, as a family member, she received gifts as well. But the emphasis was on her brother, William George Leggett, who is still alive and unfortunately is not well, so he is not able to accompany.
I think you had a picture of them, didn't you?
So that's basically it. It's just that she wants to return to or come to a place where so many of her childhood and young teen years have fond memories for her. And so we look forward to it.
The idea of having a tea and a social reception, it's really a personal social reception too for her, isn't it?
Well, I think it, whoops, I'm sorry. I think it was the host committee, the town band host committee, when the emails went back and forth between the two committees, and Georgina expressed her desire that she would like to meet with different groups. It was, yes, maybe we can get a tea together. Larry Cole and myself, we did a great deal of research, and Beverly did a lot of research. And it's just materialized. Yeah. And so we have a group of three now that we call the Tea Committee for Georgina, which is Beverly, Gail Marshall, who wasn't able to be with us this morning, and myself. So I haven't been to a tea for many years, and I'm looking forward to it. The little tea sandwiches and all that goes with a special tea.
When will the tea be?
The tea will be on Tuesday, August 2nd, starting at 2 o'clock. And as I say, it is by invitation only, unfortunately. But it just is to give a cordial, warm, or have a cordial, warm relationship with Georgina.
And maybe you will be giving some personal introductions to some of the research.
Yes, I will have available for her and making copies to for Georgina to take back to her brother, copies of the gifts that the Dorcas Society had given to actually more to the Bruce family, but it's still part of the whole arrangement. But we are doing an American English tea for an English woman.
Now, is it going to be a high tea or what they call a high tea? Or truthfully, I don't know the difference between a high tea and a regular tea, English tea. I think high tea you have a little.
And I think it's more, high tea is more later in the afternoon.
Oh, right, yeah.
It takes place of a dinner.
Right.
Oh, all right, yeah. Is there anyone in particular sponsoring, besides your interaction with the town band host committee? Is there anybody in town who is sponsoring this? Is the Pilgrim Congregational Church sponsoring? Is there any connection there?
I don't believe there's any real connection other than the Pilgrim Church and the Dorcas Societies. They've graciously allowed us to use their facilities. The Harwich Women's Club, they will be represented. They were very active with the Leggett family, and they will be present. They will be presenting a gift to Georgina. So yes, there is an involvement. There will be a representative from the East Harwich Methodist Church. Bundles for Britain. They were very active at that time. So yes, although not sponsored or monetary, it's not that type of an affair. But there will be recognition to Georgina and gifts and so forth. And
are you still doing research? Are you still looking for any other folks that might be have some knowledge?
We would like to get that out there. If there was anyone that remembers the 1940s, I don't remember. I mean, remember. But anyone that was, excuse me. That's a mistake, right? But anyway, if anyone was a part of any organization that might have aided, Red Cross, Women's Club, church group, Girl Scouts, if anyone remembers doing anything or remembers any of the activities at that time, we welcome that. We would welcome their call. Not too late. Not too late at all. So anyway, well, I think I've probably said more than enough, and then.
Well, Juell and Beverly, it's a pleasure. It's a pleasure to have you come to Channel 18 and tell us about what you two gals and some other folks have been doing to welcome our British sisters and brothers, so to speak, or Harwich sisters and brothers. I can understand the fact that this is going to be, I don't like to use a private tea, but it is more to introduce this gal to some of the people that you have researched. So the town of Harwich is really on its toes, and this is just an example of how deep we dig to get some information up.